Hey ladies, welcome to the ONCE program. This is online nutrition education for sisters, which means it was created specially for you. My name is Joyce and this is week number 5 out of the 6 on this journey to a healthier you, which means we're almost done. Hopefully the tips and techniques included in the program so far have come to enrich your life in some way. So just as a quick recap, Module 1 was Back to Basics Part 1 where we covered nutrition basics. Module 2 was Back to Basics Part 2 where we talked about physical activity basics. On Module 3 we talked about the MyPlate distribution and how to read food labels. And Module 4 covered useful tips for grocery shopping and how to eat healthy on a budget. Today, on Module 5, you'll get some tips on how to fix quick, healthy, and delicious meals. And Module 6 covers some key aspects of weight management, strategies to lose weight, and keep it off. So let's start with our 5th module, Cooking Healthy. Today we will cover an introduction to cooking healthy and its importance, how to reduce fats, how to reduce salt, alternative cooking techniques, and how to add flavor with herbs and spices. Here we go. First of all, let me start by saying that African American meals include many healthy food items, such as beans and peas, greens, spinach, cabbage, okra, tomatoes, squash, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, fish, and chicken. However, these foods are often prepared in unhealthy ways that add more fat, more calories, and salt, and reduce nutritional value. Unhealthy ways of cooking include frying, seasoning vegetables with bacon or bacon grease, cooking vegetables for too long, or adding a lot of gravy or salt. These unhealthy cooking methods have put African American females at the top of the list for obesity, high blood pressure, stroke, and heart disease. Now, it is okay to eat your grandmother's home cooking once in a while. However, many favorite family recipes can be made in a healthy way that keep the flavor but reduce the amount of fat, salt, and sugar used. So let's look at how to reduce fats. Foods that are high in fat are also high in calories. Animal products contain cholesterol and other harmful fats that can increase your risk for heart disease. Take the following steps to reduce the amount of fat in your meals. Cut down on all fried foods to a few times a month. Bake or grill meats, chicken, and seafood instead of frying them. Season foods with turkey bacon instead of ham, bacon, or bacon grease. Steam or microwave vegetables rather than boiling them in water to preserve flavor and nutrients. You can also add a drop of liquid smoke to greens to provide more flavor. Use olive oil or canola oil instead of lard, butter, or margarine. Put half the amount of butter or margarine you usually put on your food, and try to use low-fat salad dressing and mayonnaise. Take the skin off chicken. Trim all visible fat from chicken and meats. Buy meat with the least amount of visible fat. Choose ground beef and turkey with the lowest amount of fat, or ask the butcher for lean cuts of meat. Use fat-free milk or low-fat milk rather than whole milk. The same rule applies for yogurt. If you're lactose intolerant, you can also find lactose-free milk that is reduced in fat or fat-free. Next tip, how to reduce salt. Most Americans have too much salt in their diet. Too much salt is especially a big problem for African Americans because most are salt sensitive, which means that their blood pressure tends to go up when they use too much salt. Reducing salt intake is important in controlling high blood pressure. Salt is used to preserve many foods and to give them flavor. Foods in packages and cans are normally very high in salt. You can reduce the amount of salt in your diet in many ways. You can cut back on packaged meats like ham, sausage, and hot dogs, buy low-salt versions of soups, nuts, and chips, rinse canned vegetables before you cook them, use half the amount of salt that you normally use in cooking, try not to sprinkle any extra salt on foods, and avoid sports drinks, which are high in salt and made for athletes who sweat a lot. There are numerous cooking techniques you can try that can make your dishes healthier and taste awesome at the same time. Here we'll talk about 4 specific techniques: steaming, grilling, sautéing, and baking. Steaming is a moist heat cooking technique that employs hot steam to conduct the heat to the food item. Steaming has an advantage over methods such as boiling or even simmering because there is no agitation involved, so it's gentler on delicate items like seafood. And because it doesn't require the food to be submerged, it avoids the loss of nutrients through leaching. It also cooks relatively quickly. Steaming can be done on a stovetop with a pot containing a small amount of liquid that is brought to a simmer. The item to be cooked is then placed in a basket suspended above the liquid and the pot covered. Vegetables, potatoes, fish, and even rice can be cooked with steam, so steaming is an excellent alternative cooking method. Another very popular cooking method is grilling. I mean, we've all been to a few barbecues in our lifetime, right? Who doesn't like a barbecue? Well, strictly speaking, grilling is done by placing food directly over a hot flame. This flame can come from a little $20 charcoal grill or a $10,000 gas grill. What matters is that you get incomparable flavor out of your meals right in the comfort of your home. If you cannot have a grill where you live, no problem. You can get a non-stick grilling pan like the one in the picture, and you can grill pretty much anything, from the traditional steaks, burgers, and chicken, to squash, tomatoes, eggplant, and even fruit. Give it a try. Sautéing might sound like a fancy word, but it's also a very cool and easy technique. You basically need a very hot pan and a tiny amount of fat, very tiny, to cook the food very quickly, making its surface brown while developing complex flavors and aromas. And sister, if you were wondering where the word sauté comes from, it actually means jump in French. So you gotta keep that food moving in the pan. You can use a wooden spoon or a heat-proof spatula to make sure the food cooks evenly. But be careful when you're moving it. Otherwise, you might end up with food all over the floor. Sautéing is perfect for veggies and small pieces of meat. Adds flavor without adding too many calories. Our fourth and last alternative cooking technique is baking. To put it simply, baking is fully cooking food in an oven. You can bake pretty much anything: fish, chicken, meat, vegetable, breads, and fruits. The key to proper baking really comes down to the proper ratio between the oven temperature and the baking time. The larger and more dense the item, the longer it will take to cook, and the smaller and less dense, the less time. Baking is a great alternative to frying foods such as chicken, fish, and potatoes. Whether you plant them or pick them up at the grocery store or farmer's market, adding fresh herbs is a quick way to transform ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. Besides helping flavor foods while cutting on fats, salt, and even sugar, herbs may offer additional benefits of their own. Researchers are finding that many culinary herbs have antioxidants that might help protect against such diseases as cancer and heart disease. And sister, if you want to know what I mean by herbs and spices, check out the following chart. Here are some cool combinations you can start trying today. Now, just to make your mouths water, give you some examples, check out the following images. We have tomato soup with oregano, fish with dill, meatballs with sage, and chicken with thyme. These are some of the combinations you can try. So sisters, if you thought eating healthy meant no flavor, then you just didn't know what healthy cooking was really about. And there you have it, sisters. We've covered the basics on cooking healthy. That concludes module number 5. Make sure to check out the recipe and workout videos of the week. Join us next time for our 6th and last module, where we'll talk about weight management. This is ONCE's online nutrition education for sisters, providing access to a healthier you.